Hello, everyone. Welcome to Author Advantage. I'm Kira Schaefer from As You Wish Publishing, and I am so incredibly excited to welcome our guest today because she has what every author needs, and that is helping people get some negotiations going, especially with hotels, with places that you're going to be presenting your book and your topics and your speaking engagements and all that kind of stuff. So she is who you need to know. All right. So let me go ahead and introduce her really quickly. It is Kristen Chimack. I feel like I've already messed that up. Chimack, manager of global accounts at HelmsBriscoe. She offers expert support in site selection, contract negotiation, and risk management, enabling you to focus on your strategic goals. With over 31 years at a Fortune 50 company, 10 of those leading public relations, meeting, and travel, she brings deep 10 of those leading public relations meetings and travel. She brings deep expertise in planning events for 10 to 40,000 participants worldwide. A former HelmsBriscoe client, so she knows them and loves them, Kristen provides unique insights into the value of working with HB. Armed with an executive MBA from the University of Illinois, she is passionate about creating unforgettable experiences. Outside of work, she enjoys traveling, sports, barbecue, and cherishes being an aunt and great aunt. So welcome, Kristen. How are you today?
I am doing great. And I'm so excited to be here. It's a kind of a cloudy afternoon here. So this is bringing some excitement into my afternoon.
Right? I mean, it's so fun. I'm just so excited. As soon as I met Kristen, I was like, I need to know her forever. She's so cool, so down to earth, so easy to work with. And I was like, I'm kind of curious about a certain area. Can you give me some hints or tips or ideas? And she was like, oh yeah, I'll give you a whole report. And I was like, oh my God. So yes. So Kristen, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I introduced you, but what was it about this that's kept you kind of in this industry for so long?
That's an interesting question because my background is accounting. So I am a numbers nerd. And most of my career at the Fortune 50 company was not in event planning or even in the hospitality industry. So they had put me over the event space because they wanted it to be run more like a business and someone who understood what we're in versus running it like I'm planning a lot of parties and fun events for people to go to. So I found myself leading this big area. We did about 3,500 events a year and had no idea what I was doing. But through the process of learning and leading that group, I just found that the people in the hospitality industry are unbelievable. They'll really do about anything to help you achieve your goals and will really work with you. And it was an interesting industry in that there was just a lot of negotiation and everything was negotiable, which at first I was afraid of, but now I love. So there's just a lot of flexibility. And I found when I left my role that I really, really missed it.
Yeah. Wow. So having been somebody who's created my own events, who has, gone out there, done that negotiation, right? I was very, very lucky because I was connected with the Chamber of Commerce in my local area. And they were like, oh, well, we're also connected to this hotel that could do this. So I have been kind of that person that has kind of piecemealed everything I've ever done as as a entrepreneur, as somebody. Well, let's be real. I wasn't called an entrepreneur back then. It wasn't that fancy. It was more like, yeah, I'm gonna do the hustle, right? That's what's happening. Yeah. And so, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm doing it. I don't know how I'm gonna get through it. And I just remember how kind of scary it was. And I think that that's one of the gifts that you provide, is that people aren't alone in this, and especially authors who have been doing so much on their own. They write their book by themselves. They put it together by themselves many times. They then try to shop it around, and then they're doing that by themselves. And then they, don't have any input on, anything from book cover designs or formatting. They don't know how to turn their book into an actual book, and so they're doing it all on their own, and it can feel intimidating and overwhelming. Now they've got this book, right? They've got it. It's theirs. They've worked on it. They've put it together. Now what do they do with it? They
Mhm.
got to get it out there, and we
Yeah.
want to make that as easy as possible for people to do. And I think doing an event with 10 people, or 10, meaning at least 10 rooms or
Mhm.
more, is a really good place to start. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, one of the beautiful things about the work that I do with Helms Briscoe, and honestly, Kira, I will tell you, when I worked at the Fortune 50 company, we were kind of piecemealing it ourselves until we got Helms Briscoe involved, and they were really able to bring the expertise to that front end hotel sourcing process and finding the venue. And I learned just a ton from it as a great big company. And so, bringing people together, I talk to a lot of leadership coaches and authors who have books coming out. And when they're thinking about having a retreat or even just having a book discussion, an overnight thing with, like you said, 10 people, the key is really keeping it simple. I find so often people try and complicate it and build in all of these different things. The number one thing that people want, especially now post COVID, as events are really starting to pick back up, they love the networking time. And bar none, every survey I see post an event, the things that scored the most value, the highest numbers, is really when they just had time to talk, which is great for an author who's bringing out a book. So simply having a group discussion and then a dinner can be more than enough to fill a retreat. And so staying really clear on your goals and keeping it super simple
Mhm.
is really the way to go, especially for your first few.
Right. That's incredible. That's incredible. And I think you're absolutely right. Like, we tend to make it too big in our heads. And then we're like, no, it could be a day thing. It could be an evening thing with a dinner. And it doesn't have to be, overwhelming. And
Yep.
that's what the title of our thing is here. It's stress free, right? Stress free, make it easy. So that's a really good tip. And what other advice would you give someone planning their first event or retreat?
Oh, do we have all day? Yeah.
Just go for it. Tell me
Go for it.
everything.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely, like I said, keep it simple. Stay focused on the outcome. So make sure, don't have 15 outcomes that you want to accomplish or goals. Have one to three is more than enough. And the other thing is really be careful about your location. Sometimes when I'm working with people and they're planning these retreats, they want to go to these really amazing destinations. They forget about, and a lot of times that's because that's where they want to go. They forget that sometimes their attendees may not want to go there. And so for your first retreat, especially, staying close to home is great. There's a lot of amazing properties all over where you can stay close to home, make it simple, convenient for your attendees to come to, and then determine your budget early. I find a lot of times authors and coaches that I work with, especially new to the retreat space or like networking event space, they have no idea about budget. And so try really sitting down and thinking about how much do I want to spend per attendee? And then what does that equate to when you start to think about a hotel sleeping room rate, if you're going to have overnights, food and beverage, and some of those things. But make sure you have something in your mind from a budget perspective when you get started. Otherwise, you could end up looking at properties that you fall in love with that are 10 times the cost that you really want to spend.
Yeah.
So that can be super helpful. The other big one is being flexible. So sometimes people will come and say, I want to have it on this date at this property. You probably are, I can guarantee you aren't going to get the best pricing. So being flexible with the days of the week that you want to have the meeting or retreat, or the time of year, all of those things can make significant difference when it comes to the costs that will be associated with it. And so just working like with someone like me, we can
Yeah.
help you really through that, or even calling the local convention and visitor bureau can help you.
Okay, that I think is huge because I love that it's like a variety of things, like that you don't have to get stuck into, oh, I have to have this type of retreat place or I have to have this type of hotel. Literally, guys, like Kristen, I was talking to her and I was like, yeah, I want to do some writing retreats next year and I want to do some fun stuff. And she was like, you know what? I have been learning about this new like Airstream camping fun thing that would be perfect for that kind of and I'm like, yes, that would be so fun. So and that flexibility piece, like really let go of when you want to be somewhere. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we did that with our dogs. We're heading out of town soon, and I was like, well, I'm not going to do anything until my priority is taken care of, which is my pets. And so I was like, okay, my pet sitter is also a friend. I was like, hey, when are you available?
Mhm.
When
Yeah.
do you want to do this?
Yeah.
And then I will set my world around you. And
Mhm.
she was so grateful for that, so
Yeah.
those things are so key. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one more thing I just thought of, and then a
Yeah.
quick point on what you were just talking about. Like a great example, I was working with a new author, book was coming out. It was really her book was all about planning and sort of resetting yourself each year. So she wanted to do a retreat in her mind, doing it in February in Palm Springs was going to be great. And it was sort of long enough after the holidays. The unfortunate thing is Palm Springs, like February, March, April, lots of events going on with Coachella and different music festivals. But in working with the hotels, they said, well, if it's about kind of resetting for the new year, we can offer her 70% discount on the rates if she wants to come January 4th. And so just having those discussions and then her being open-minded and flexible enough to adjust that and see how she could make that work in her messaging and in her marketing. I mean, she did that retreat for pennies compared to what it would have cost to have even just 3 or 4 weeks later. And then that brings me to the point of don't underestimate the marketing and the promotion of your event. When you're working with hotels, they're going to want a deposit when you sign the contract. And generally they'll ask for 25%. I can usually negotiate them down to about 10%. But just know as soon as you sign the contract, you will be expected to pay a deposit. And so I often tell new people that are new to planning meetings such as these is to create a wait list long before you even maybe know where you're going. You might be able to say we're going to Palm Springs or we're going to Dallas, Texas, or general location, and get your wait list going. And then once we enter into we request a contract and we're working through the details of it, then you could start releasing the information around where the retreat or the event's going to be and asking people to pay a deposit, non-refundable deposit, to be on the wait list, to then so that you have that money is when you need it versus you're trying to put that on your credit card and things.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I have a good friend of mine. His name is Elias. I think he would be. I'm going to introduce you guys, okay?
Yeah.
But Elias Petrus, amazing guy, amazing friend, amazing human being. That's exactly what he does. He puts it out. We put it out way ahead of time, and then he's like $250, non-refundable.
Yep.
And then, because, there's got to be skin in the game. People need to commit to things because you're committing to it, right? You're committing to the hotel, you're committing to them. And if you can get enough of that buy-in first, before you do that contract, tell me if I'm wrong, then you have enough for the down payment to
Yeah.
put on the space. So I think that's great. I also work with another wonderful friend, Liz Dunn at Celebrate Your Life, and one of the things she does is she gets a number of people in for certain tiers, and once she reaches certain tiers, then she's able to, and tiers meaning certain pay amounts, to get certain benefits. And then she, is able to have a bulk to go ahead and substantiate that next step.
Yeah.
So that pre-planning is huge. It's huge.
It is huge because the hotels, I can keep them at bay for a little while, but
Yeah.
at some point when you say, okay, I'm ready to pay the deposit, and they can say, well, the rates have gone up now $100 a night. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
do try and work with people to say, now, when do you want to enter a contract? When do you think you will have a deposit? So we don't reach out to the hotels, 6 months in advance of when you'll be ready to pay. So, I can help with managing some of those things.
Yeah. What do you see are some of the like biggest pitfalls?
Mm,
Biggest problems? I mean, I definitely think one is
yep.
not filling it beforehand or having some concept of how many people are coming and what the possibility is for the viability of the project. But what else?
Yeah. That's definitely a big one. Another one that I've seen a lot recently, I hadn't seen it necessarily before, is people contracting in their own personal name versus like an LLC.
I
You,
see
you,
my brain doesn't
yeah,
even, I know I do everything through the business, but my
yeah.
brain doesn't even go there. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so a lot of times, I mean, you can do that,
Mhm.
but you are when you sign that hotel contract, you are taking responsibility for the actions of those that are there with your group a lot of times, and so accidents happen, crazy things happen, and so I always would recommend spend the time to create an LLC or you know something to protect your own personal being versus the company if something were to happen. I've never had anything happen, but
Hey,
that's one thing.
31 years. That's amazing.
Yeah. I've had some things happen like in my corporate space where we've had to take responsibility for, I mean, crazy things like someone hung a hanger on a sprinkler head and it flooded 15 floors of Caesar's Palace. That's a costly mistake. So, right. And we were a corporation, so we had protections there. It wasn't like it was going to come, they were going to come take my house to pay for that. But, things to think about when you're smaller scale
Yeah.
and hosting retreats. That's probably a big one. Choosing the wrong venue and the location. I think a lot of times, and it's not necessarily that it's wrong. I think sometimes people want to go for the sexy appeal of a brand or a name or a luxury resort or location. Miami's a big one. Versus, what are you really trying to accomplish and what do you need to accomplish that? Because there's so many beautiful hotels and resorts and settings in secondary markets and even further for half the cost that people would be just as excited to go to. But I think sometimes we pick with what do we think will entice people versus
Yeah.
what might actually, and so kind of working through some of those, and then over scheduling is another big challenge.
Yeah.
Just really jam packing an agenda full when yet you've paid for this beautiful resort, like, you know, on a beautiful beach, and all your attendees, all they're going to do is sit in a conference room with you. And so if that's the intent, then I would say go to a nice, Marriott or Hilton Garden Inn in your local city. But if you're going to build in wellness activities or things like that, you've got to allow them time to do some of that on their own.
Mm-hmm. Okay, listen here. Todd's so good. This info is worth paying for. If you are just popping in now, you need to go back to the beginning when we're done. You need to listen to everything Kristen has just said.
Mhm.
I mean, incredible information here. So I just
Yeah.
thank you. Because this, I mean, it's like, I think we know as authors, I'm an author, I was an
Mhm.
author first. We know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
We just don't quite know all the ins and outs and what to do about it. And
Mhm.
so, like I am always about when the student's ready, the master appears. Well, guys, the master is here. Her name is Kristen. And she is going to help you with all of this stuff. Let me go. I have some more questions for you
Okay.
because it's so exciting.
I'm so
Uh,
excited. It's like energizing. And I keep thinking of things that I could say. So
I know. Say them. But like speaking of cost, right? Because
yeah.
everybody's like, what's going on here? Like this Kristen gal, what's going on?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Tell them what you cost to them with all this information, all this wisdom, all
Yeah.
this insight, all this like amazingness. What they pay just to get your help, Kristen?
They or you won't pay me a dime. I am free. I know it's rare. Like this is like the best sales. This is like the sales job of my. I love this because you don't cost me anything, so it's a pretty easy service to sell. Yeah. So the hotels compensate us. So HelmsBriscoe, who I have the agency through, is the leader in placing meetings and events in hotels across the world. So I can place events anywhere in the world. And the hotels compensate us once the event has occurred with what they call a placement fee or commission, similar. And so they pay that out of their marketing budget. So it does not impact the rates that you get, the concessions that we're able to negotiate. HelmsBriscoe, the collective, there's 1,400 people like me all over the world that do this for them. And, we place over $1 billion of business every year in the hotel space. And so we are, it may be the first time that I work with a specific property or resort, but I guarantee you they are working with 5 or 6 at least active meeting requests from my associates and other HelmsBriscoe associates. So we do get priority. We get some of the best rates you'll find, concessions. We even have partnerships with the AV companies to get discounts there for the people that we work with. But yes, to the clients I work with, I will never send you a bill. I will never send you an invoice. I might say, hey, can I show up? Because I really want to go to that resort and, meet you in person, but you don't have to pay either. So yeah, no cost to you. And it sounds crazy. I know when I was working at State Farm, I was telling Kira, like they approached me for like 6 or 7 months. And I didn't believe that they were never going to send me a bill, but they truly never sent me a bill.
Wow. That is just incredible. Because the knowledge base that you have is so significant. Yeah. And that just blows me away. It's the best thing I ever, I'm a tour, all right, you guys know I'm part woo. I'm about 90%, brain science and 10% woo, but it's real woo. So, I'm a Taurus, so I love a deal. Yeah. but I love the education and the information and the enrichment even more. That's why I'm sharing, Kristen, with you guys. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. Can you walk us through how you help clients evaluate the different venues and how to choose what's right for them?
Yeah, so it's a process. Usually what I'll do is when you contact me and you're ready to start exploring hosting an event, we'll walk through kind of what do you want the event to be, what locations are you thinking about, how many people, all the details of the event. We'll kind of walk through all of that. And generally in those discussions is when we will also start to talk about if it's, for instance, a 2 or 3 day event, how do you see those days flowing? And from there, then I'll write up a request for proposal, what it's called. It's basically a document that really outlines everything we talked about and outlines kind of the entire ask that we have of the hotels. And within that discussion, we will have also talked a little bit about budget, number of attendees, your event goals. Are there any amenities you require? So do you want to make sure you're on a golf course or you're by the beach or, you're in a downtown area that's walkable? So we'll walk through a whole conversation. It's usually 30 to 45 minutes. I'll then type up the request for proposal. We'll send it back to you so that you can take a look at it, make sure it captures what you're intending for your event to be. And then when I also send that back to you, I will have already gone out and looked at the destinations you've given me. Now, sometimes people will say, well, it could be anywhere in the United States. And I will ask you to narrow that down. So let's give me your top 1 or 2 destinations. And I will go out and look for properties that meet the requirements of your event, but also in that moment have availability for your event. And I'll send those properties to you and you'll get a chance to say yes, no, more like this, less like that. And then once we sort of land on those properties and the request for proposal looks great, I literally hit a button. It goes out to all of the hotels. In less than a week, they will have all responded back to me with their pricing, That's their initial offer. Everything is negotiable in an event contract, like I said. So when I get all of that back, I'll send you a nice summary. And it just depends on you, if whether we jump on a call or we do it through email. We'll talk through, which one or two really stand out, and then I will get to work negotiating. And I will negotiate everything from the room rates to the cancellation clauses to attrition to amenities to upgrades to, you want a pool cabana the day after the group leaves because you want to relax. You want
Yes, I do. I want a pool cabana after the group leaves.
I know.
I'm ready for that amenity.
Yeah, it's a great one. And a lot of resorts, you can even work in like a free, like the hotel will host an hour reception, welcome reception. So there's so many things we can work to negotiate in. And then once we get set on, this is the property, we're good on terms, I'll request the contract. The contract will come to me first. I will redline it to make sure that the contract is fair to both the hotels, but also to you, and that you're not taking or assuming too much risk or too much liability. I'll then send it to you. You'll look at my changes, see if you agree. You'll add any of your changes, and then we'll send it back to the hotel, and we wait to see if they accept it or not. And then once it's signed, the contract is signed by the client, you all, and the hotel. And then I stay involved after that with just, reminding you of all the dates that are in a contract. There are so many dates that come with a contract, from deposit payments, your menus are due, your rooming lists are due, you have to decide today if you're going to release rooms without penalty. So I'll stay involved with you through that, just reminding you of those key dates. And then the event happens.
You are amazing. I love every bit of this. Is amazing. So Todd said this is so good because working with Kristen for free allows business owners to really flesh out what an event would look like and put their reality to dreams, which is so true.
Yeah. Otherwise, what happens, right, is the business owners or the clients get so focused on all of these details that they actually lose sight of what the event is about and what they're trying to accomplish. So I always say, I'm like your employee you just hired that you don't pay for. And you don't have to give me benefits, but I can be an absolute extension of your team and help you go through that process. And then the other thing, if something really crazy happens, like a hurricane, we're here to help you figure out, okay, is that hotel still open? Are they still, in business? If they're not, then let's get out making sure we have the right contract, the right clauses in the contract, so you're not penalized and you get your money back for an event when they are opened, and then finding you a new home for that event quite quickly. And so, we're involved when things go wrong like that, whether there's a big one that happens.
I mean, yes. And now it is in top of mind for everyone, just thinking about that, especially since it's one of those places like Miami, like beaches and all that kind of stuff. So massively important, useful information. This is kind of an interesting question. What's one venue or location that surprised you by becoming a perfect event site? Is there anyone that pops out in your mind? You're like, oh, I did not expect that to be awesome.
Yeah. There's you shared the auto camps are unbelievable. And I think the web address is autocamp.com, I think. But they're popping up all over the US. There's one opening up in the hill countries in Texas. They're mostly found where there's a lot of outdoor activity or national parks. But what's really cool about them is they're like modernized Airstreams. Some of them have actual rooms and some have more like the glamping luxury tents, but they also have like a lodge area that has a meeting space, usually 1 or 2 rooms and kind of a common area. But a lot of the Airstreams have fire pits. And so you can do a lot without having to have all the additional kind of food and beverage and setup that you might have at a traditional hotel or resort.
Right. People will go get their food and bring it back. And
yeah.
So I'm of that mind. I don't really want to do food.
Yeah.
I'll bring the s'mores, but
The other good ones are some of the more boutiquey, like a lot of the large hotel brands have, have a line within their brand that's more of a boutique type property that's smaller and usually in a downtown area that's very walkable. So I was going to say cities like Asheville, they're not in a good place right now. Charlottesville, Virginia is a great city for events like that.
Oh,
So,
wow. Yeah, I used to. I went to Radford University. I grew up in Richmond,
yeah.
Virginia.
So
And
Charlottesville, the area.
yeah, Charlottesville was a rival of, Virginia Tech, and, it
Yeah.
was a big thing. And, but I'd still go,
Right.
I'd still have an event
Yeah.
there, I guess. But it is gorgeous. Actually, Charlottesville is the most beautiful, beautiful place.
I
So
lived there for 6 years. I wish I never left.
Did you really?
I did. I
Oh,
loved it.
yeah. Close to Blue Ridge, Appalachian
Mhm.
Trail, all of that.
Weiner.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, okay, so let's see. You mentioned that travel is a passion. Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite destination, for combining business and leisure?
Oof.
Leisure.
Well, if you consider business like an incentive trip, that really opens up the realm of possibilities. Yeah, so for incentive trip type travel, whether it's business or like a really kind of exclusive retreat, you can't go wrong with Thailand or South Africa. Of a more traditional business type event, I really enjoy Washington, D.C. And I would say Washington, D.C. is right up there. Denver, Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Those are probably my favorites.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is so interesting. I mean, well, with DC, there's the Smithsonian, and there's,
Mhm.
all of that, and there's lots of the, natural
Yeah,
history museums, and
yeah,
you know,
lots of good event type places, like venues that you can
yeah,
use. Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Yeah. The only problem is the traffic pattern.
Well, that's why you fly into Reagan and you just take, the subway system.
Right. I would need to. I would need
Yeah.
to. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Oh, well, then that brings up another point,
Uh-huh.
which is, do you have hotels all over the world, or is it just nationally?
No, all over the world. All over the world. So yeah, so I'm
Oh,
currently
we're going to Thailand.
yeah, let's go to Thailand. Yeah. We're and I'm going on that trip. I'll be your personal event
All
planner
right.
for that
That
one.
sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, this morning I was on a call with a hotel in London. I ended my day yesterday with a hotel in Singapore. So yeah, anywhere in the world. And
Awesome.
I will say the beautiful thing too, with my prior role, we did incentive travel and incentive trips all over the world. So I have a lot of familiarity with a lot of different regions and countries. But if I don't happen to have familiarity with a place or country you're looking at, there are 1,400 of me located all over the world that I can reach out to. So that's always, a really nice thing as well. And then the other thing I will say, we also do cruises. So, I'm actually going on a retreat in a couple of weeks on Virgin Voyages, an adult only cruise line. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Adult only cruise line.
Yeah.
Great.
Mhm. No kids.
No kids. No kids. Love
Yeah.
kids. No
Yes.
kids.
It's
All
nice
right.
every once in a while to not have the kids around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even though you're the wonderful aunt, the great aunt,
Yeah.
the most adored aunt.
Mhm. Yeah,
All
I
right.
have
Well,
like a waiting list of people who want me to be their aunt. So,
yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's do something. Well, actually, I want to talk about the kind of freebie thing that you have for
Mm.
folks. And this is the art of negotiation for events, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Um, so I'm gonna pop up this QR code really quickly. Probably. Hey, oh my gosh, it's
It
right
worked.
between us. Neat.
I like
All
it.
right, great. Go ahead, and you can take a picture of it, and you can figure out how to do QR codes later if you want. Um, but this is for Kristen's the art of negotiation for events.
Yeah.
Kristen, tell us about this while they're taking their
Yeah. So this is a session. It usually runs 30 to 45 minutes, and then I stay on for however long with questions. But I really go through. It's really focused on the contracting process. It's super important that, if you're hosting an event, any type of event, you understand that contract and you understand what you're negotiating or what you're asking me to negotiate. And so what I do in this session is really walk through kind of my top 6, sometimes I'll end up with 7 or 8 strategies that you can really use to get the best event contract possible. And so it covers some of the things we've talked about today, but it does go into more detail around things like food and beverage minimums, attrition clauses, all sort of the event contract language stuff, and then how you can use those things together to get the best deal.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. Take a picture of this, do your QR code, take a picture with your phone, and do this. And obviously it'll be out here. It'll be on recording. I'm going to put this everywhere.
Yeah.
I'll probably put it as an image inside the thing.
Yeah.
Just start a conversation with Kristen. I am getting a million ideas just flooding in right now. I'm like, oh, I want to do the Airstream thing, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I'm like, I got to get her connected with Elias, and and like my brain is just going wild. So,
that's how people get into doing too much, Kira. They start planning, they fall in love with all these ideas.
I know. Well, see, here's the thing. I just don't want to do any of it. You
want to go, right?
I want to go. But see, what's interesting, I mean, I just want to do the event. I want to perform the thing, and I don't want to think about all that other stuff. But I will say, guys, like, even as you're doing this, she has all of her contracts and the things like that. Just you also make sure that when you are registering people, that you have your own set of rules and, your own little bylaws there, that kind of thing, because that's really important as well, for your own housekeeping stuff. Like, people are responsible for their own bodies. People are responsible for their own choices, that kind of thing, which I like to add to mine. And then let's go ahead. Let's do, preguntas rápidas. So rapid fire questions.
Let's do it.
That's what I thought this morning. I was like, how do I say rapid fire questions in Spanish? Because my brain said preguntas this morning, and I was like, wait a minute, pregunta or pregunto?
Yeah, that's funny.
And then I was like, well, let's do that.
Yeah.
I'm such a weirdo. All right. So are you ready, Kristen?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Incredible questions. Texting or talking?
Oh, I'm secretly an introvert, so I'm going to go texting.
Yeah, girl. I love it. Favorite day of the week?
This one was hard for me. I like Sunday because usually this time of year there's football on, but I actually would say that I like almost any day that I can see my nieces and nephews.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Favorite city in the U.S. besides the one you live in?
Oh, this will be one I'll be shocked if anybody knows. Owl's Head, Maine.
Oh, wow. What's in Owl's Head, Maine?
That is where my grandparents were from and where they retired and built a beautiful house right on the coast of Maine. So we grew up going there multiple times a year. And I just love the rocky beaches and the lighthouses and, the guy right up the street that builds ships and is a lobsterman. And I like everything about it.
Todd and I love lighthouses too. Yeah. Nickname your parents used to call you?
Oh, my parents. Oh boy. They used to call me Noni because one of the first things the nurse said when I was born was that I had a very little nose or no nose.
Oh, Noni. Yeah, my mom called me monkey meat. Then she would pinch my legs.
Yeah.
Monkey meat.
Monkey meat. That's funny.
Last song you downloaded or liked or listened to?
Oh my God, this is embarrassing. Well, you all are going to have to go download it. It's called The Affirmation Song by Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg's Affirmation Song. Yeah. It is awesome.
I downloaded it because my great niece, who is 5, was telling me about it. And I'm like, I wonder what that's about. And so
It's so good. It's like,
It
you're my
is.
family and I love you. And
Yep.
it's so cool.
I am loved. Yeah.
Love. So good.
Yeah.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Oh, every language in the world.
I'm with you on that because I'm
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my dogs probably wouldn't have a whole lot to say. If anything, they might get a little needy.
Yeah. Well, and then we would know what they really think about us.
I
So
know.
yeah, I'm going,
No,
yeah, language fluency. Then we can go anywhere.
that's right. Anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Um, Favorite holiday?
Hmm. Christmas Eve. The anticipation of Christmas morning. Usually Christmas Eve for us is very sort of non-traditional. We pick a cuisine. Everybody, family comes over, but also friends who maybe can't get home to family, and we play games. So yeah, Christmas Eve.
I love that. Invisibility or super strength?
Oh, I'm gonna go super strength.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I'll finally be able to open that damn jar.
Exactly. The other day I was trying to get open a bottle of wine. I couldn't do it. I'm like, what
Oh
is
my
going
god.
on? Yeah.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
I know. So I need the super strength.
Practicality,
Yeah.
Kristen.
It's all
Practicality.
about what I need.
That's right. Okay, and I just want to say, Kristen is one of our newest authors. So I am extremely excited for her book that's going to be coming out at a time to be mentioned later. But she is working on it, and I'm very excited to be a part of that journey with her. So thank you for trusting me with your words. Also, I'm trusting. Believe me, I'm going to be trusting Kristen with my planning, my hotel planning,
Yeah.
and it's just been such a joy,
Yeah.
working with you.
I know. I think the universe sort of brought us both together in the right place at the right time. And it's
Really,
great.
really and truly. And I wanted to take this time to introduce you to everyone I know because I really think that if people take a moment to just, you know, really consider the full benefit of what this means. You don't have to try and look for this hotel by yourself. You don't have to negotiate contracts. You don't have to spend that precious time that you actually need to fill your events, the things that you're going to be doing, and bringing in revenue and bringing in income, using your book as a tool to do that, but also your coaching and the things that you feel passionate about and joyful about, and you want to expand and express in this world. Taking this element off your plate is incredibly empowering, in my opinion. So thank you, for Kristen, for being that for us, for all of my friends.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I'm so grateful for having met you and now meeting all of your friends. And one of the things I love to do is just to help people kind of see their dreams come to reality. And this is a great way that I can help and do that, and just be kind of that extra expert resource that you need.
Awesome. Kristen, is there anything else you want to leave our friends with? And then I'll pop you off, but don't go anywhere, and then I'll
Yeah.
close up here. Anything else?
The only thing that I would say is, feel free, even if you think you're going to be doing an event, down the road, if you just want to talk through things, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. There's a link there. You can book just a call. I love doing virtual coffees. And we can, talk through that even if you're not ready. So we'd just love to connect and kind of expand my network, especially of other authors, as I work to become one. So
That's right. That's
yeah.
right. Kristen, thank you so much for joining me and for talking to everyone. I am very grateful. Hang out with me in the back room, and I will get back with you in a second.
Sounds good.
Guys, how awesome is Kristen? She is just incredible. She's professional. She's clear. She understands how everything works here. Please lean on her. She is a free resource who will help you get where you need to go when it comes to a stress-free event. And I really, truly feel that in my heart of hearts, she is committed to this, not just in a place of, what she gets from it. She is very service oriented. She's very you focused. And she wants you to have a really good, powerful event and experience. And doing that as an author is absolutely quintessential to your success as an author. So I'm gonna go ahead also too. I'm gonna go ahead and put my coffee link up. My little whatever this thing is, maybe it'll pop up, maybe it won't. We don't know. There it is. It's right over my face. Perfect. All right. Here I am. I just want to go ahead and take your phone out, take a picture. This is my scheduler so that if you want to, you can have a coffee chat with me if you're thinking about publishing your book. And also too, I'm going to have some collaboration book opportunities coming open. I have 3 spots left for Synchronicity. But once those are filled, those are gone. And otherwise, my registration is closing November 4th. So I am, again, so thrilled, so honored to get to work with so many amazing authors. Currently, we have 27 authors in that book. And next year, we're going to be looking at the world of the lady boss. So we're going to be doing a lot of collaboration specifically for women in business, for small businesses, for solopreneurs, things like that. So those are going to be our primary topics. But again, thank you so much for joining us, joining me, joining Kristen, and I will see you again soon. Bye.